You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
We are iCarly. Who would be Sam and I feel like I would be Sam and you would be Carly.
Didn't they hate each other? No.
They were best friends. Sam and Freddie hated each other, but then they ended up getting together. I can't get into this.
No, you know what I was thinking about? It was the Hannah Montana. Who is Hannah's friend on Hannah Montana? I forget the name of the
Emily
character.
Osment. Lily.
Her? Right. Her
I didn't even watch Hannah Montana, but I know this.
They did not get along, apparently. They hated each other.
Well, hate is a strong word. I think eventually...
But I really, really, really don't like you.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they eventually came around, though. I mean, that's tough. If I was 13 years old and someone was like, here, you're the lead in a successful TV show that everyone is counting on you for, I probably would be hard to get along with, too.
Right. And I think in her book, not that I read the book, but I think in her book, she talks about how, you know, when there's a trio of young people basically hitting puberty at the same time, it's inevitable that somebody is going to be the third wheel. So.
That's science, actually.
It is. Scientific fact, as proven in my research paper that I'm writing later tonight.
Based solely on Miley Cyrus's memoir. Anyways, welcome to Two Girls, One Crossword. I'm Grace Topinka.
And I'm Chelsea Rowan. Thanks for joining us. It is your, what are we doing? Oh,
favorite weekly Podword Crosscast.
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes. I was just too busy thinking about Miley Cyrus. So that's
it happens.
It does happen
to
sometimes. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's twice I've sung so far. I wonder how it'll turn out.
I'm sure. Well, none of our listeners have complained specifically about the singing. If you do hate it, please let us know. If you love it. Actually,
I do have to say that if they complain about the singing, I will not comply. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to comply. I will comply to other complaints, but I don't think I can commit to that one.
That is her line in the sand, people. And, you know, it's good to have boundaries, so we have to respect that.
And I'm sticking to it, okay? So, yeah.
Should we jump into our heights and shites?
I think we should jump into the heights and shites. I think we should. I think I want to start off by saying it is Black History Month, right?
Oh, yes.
So this is very exciting. If you are an active crossword solver, which I hope some of our listeners are, you may have the New York Times puzzle subscription, which I would recommend getting if you want it. But you should definitely get it for Black History Month because the New York Times is doing releasing puzzles constructed by Black constructors between February 1st and February 6th, which is really exciting. So get over there, get your butt solving. I know.
Way too short. It could be the whole month.
It really could be, and it should be. And they should make it, you know, a goal to do that next year, I guess, since they've already committed to the single week. But the puzzles have been great so far, I think. So I really want to shout out to the constructors. They've done some really cool puzzles.
Yeah, I feel like the New York Times was really good this week. And sometimes, oftentimes, we don't say that. So
right. We definitely do not say that. I'm going to give a shout out to the constructors we've seen so far. We're recording on a Friday, the 5th, and there's going to be one more constructor for Saturday, the 6th. And the constructors we've seen so far are Soleil Saint-Cyr, who is apparently a high school student. So amazing. Good on you for getting a puzzle in the New York Times. Amazing.
Not jealous of you. I'm very proud of you. But you just make me question my own self-worth. That's all.
Yes, same. And then we have Adesina Okoiki, who is a regular contributor to New York Times. They also do puzzles for Vox. You know, they took over for Adrian Powell, one of the constructors. And then we saw Jakob Jonas, Derek Allen, and Eric Agard was today, the 5th, Friday.
Eric's was so good.
Eric's was so good. Yeah.
I mean, they all were, but
we love Eric here.
Him.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good way to start us off, I think.
Cool. Well, speaking of Eric's Friday puzzle, I have some hits from them.
Let's do it.
The whole puzzle was really good, and there were some clues that I especially liked. So again, this was from the February 5th one. 13 across. Pop up a lot, perhaps. Or pop up a lot, perhaps? Question mark.
New dads.
Yeah. At first I was like, huh? Then I was like, oh, I get it. A dad who is up a lot at night.
Yes.
That was smart.
Yes.
57 across. Pair of rings.
Oh, yes.
Tag team.
Tag team. This was another one of those tricky wordplay ones where I was like, wait, I'm like doing the mental gymnastics to figure out what the clue meant in terms of the answer. It was very clever.
Yes. And my last one that I really liked was 9 down, underground rap ?
Oh yeah. Secret knock.
I love that. We need a secret knock.
Good.
Speaking of.
We do. And we need a secret password.
We do.
Code word.
We need a word. No. Did you ever watch those things when you were younger? Like the stranger danger stuff? It was like you have to have a word with your parents, a secret word that, if they ever have to send someone to like pick you up, they tell this person the secret word, and it could be like unicorn or something.
Right.
We need a secret word like that in case, we're ever like possessed by someone or, kidnapped, held for ransom, and like we're calling on the phone. We need like a secret word to tell each other we're in distress. So obviously we'll discuss off mic. Secretly.
Write in to give us suggestions. We won't use them.
We'll pick the
best one. I want to call out one of the topics that Eric pulled up or mentioned in his puzzle, just because it's Black History Month and I think it's important. 35 across, subject of H.R. 40, introduced in every Congress since 1989. And the answer is reparations. And if you don't know about H.R. 40, I would really recommend looking it up. But I'm going to read you the long title for what H.R. 40 is, just so you guys can get some understanding of what it is if you're not familiar with it. And I would also recommend checking out the ACLU's website. They have an incredible series on reparations. So if you don't know about reparations, if you don't understand the background or why people would be bringing it up in Congress for the last 40 years or 30 years now, it'll give you some great context. So I'm going to read you the long title because I think it's important. So H.R. 40 is also known as the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. And the long title is this. An act to address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study and consider a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery, its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans, and the impact of those forces on living African Americans, to make recommendations to Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. This was originally proposed in 1989 by Representative John Conyers Jr. from a former representative in Michigan, and it has since, as the clue suggested, been brought up in Congress every year since. So definitely would recommend looking more into that. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail, but reparations is a hugely important topic. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for bringing it up, Eric.
Yeah.
Much love.
And a lot of people on Twitter were happy about that too, as far as I could see.
Yes. I have a shit. Well, okay, it's not a shit. Okay, it's not a shit. But I just have a little question, a thought tank, I guess you could say. So, in the Friday, January 29th New Yorker by Patrick Berry, and Patrick, love your puzzles, keep up the great work. But I've got a question. Okay. 48 across, coffee shop freebie. And the answer is cup. And I want to know if you think that the cup is free or not, because I'm pretty sure that I'm paying for that cup.
Well, when you bring your own mug, do you get a discount?
But is that a freebie?
That maybe means that they take out the price of the cup. Because, at Starbucks, you can bring your own cup and they fill it. I think they do give you a discount.
Right, but I feel like it says coffee shop freebie. I guess, like I said, this is not an actual shit. It's more of like a
Do
dissection.
I consider it a freebie? No, not the same. It would be like baseball game. Freebie would be like a t-shirt out of a t-shirt cannon. It's not like they're you get it with your order. I guess it's like our paper napkins freebies when you go to a restaurant. You can take it home and use it however you wish, but
right, exactly. And yes, of course, when I order a coffee off the menu, I'm ordering and in my mind paying for the coffee, but the price of the coffee also goes to every other element of the store, right?
You can't just get the coffee without a cup unless you put your head under a spigot and they just pour it directly into your mouth.
Which, hey, if that's your thing, not going to stop you, but just think about that. is a coffee cup at a coffee shop free? No.
I don't drink
to
coffee,
me,
so
no.
I wouldn't know.
Wow. Okay. Flex. Fine. Fine.
That's a lie. I do drink some coffee sometimes.
So stop lying. Why
Sorry,
do I have to tell you to
hipster.
stop lying all the time?
I know.
What else you got?
The Thursday New York Times by Derek Allen, February 4th. I just liked the theme of this. There was a rebus, which was I always like, and it had to do with colors in songs, where clues like intersected. They shared a color. So an example would be 38 Down, 2017 hit by Cardi B was Bodak Yellow, and then 61 Across, 1966 hit by the Beatles was Yellow Submarine, and yellow was written in one square. But I love to see a Cardi B and Beatles intersection. Warms my heart, truly. But I liked that whole puzzle.
Very good. You know, there's another puzzle that I liked.
Let's see.
There is. Grace and I did a puzzle together this week on Zoom. You know, we started trying to do that because, you know, it's nice to see each other's face once in a while. On Monday, February 1st, The New Yorker by Cameron Austin Collins. Good puzzle, but I wanted to bring up a topic from this puzzle. And I was thinking about doing this as my topic this week, but I decided not to because it was way too morbid, but not morbid enough that I wouldn't bring it up in hits and shits, just for like a gentle dabble, I guess. So 15 Across, punny slogan about Cornell's beautiful, craggy, upstate environs. And the answer is Ithaca is Gorge. Because, you know, they've got a bunch of gorges up there. Whatever. And as we were solving the puzzle, Grace kind of offhandedly mentioned, like, isn't there like something about deaths and like suicides related to Cornell and the gorges up there? And I was like, I don't know anything about that. But I looked it up.
Okay, I was going to ask, I hope you fact check this and people don't think I'm just spreading rumors.
No.
But I could have sworn that I had heard that somewhere.
You heard correctly, and I really wanted to share what I found. So they have a whole Wikipedia page on this. I really didn't do too much looking into this, just like a very general, you know, Wikipedia kind of article, whatever, hopping. So the Wikipedia article is called The Cornell Gorge Suicides. And they were a series of suicides at Cornell University beginning in the 70s. And then there was a high cluster profile of 6 suicides in the 2009-2010 school year.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes. And the suicides occurred on the bridges that kind of span the various gorges on the campus. And as of 2010, new fences were kind of set up on the gorges. And they also were planning to install nets on 5 of the bridges that kind of would extend out 15 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And then between 1990 and 2010, 27 people, including 15 Cornell students, had killed themselves from bridge jumping off, like in the gorges. And then.
Wait, bridge jumping?
Jumping off the bridges into the gorges.
Okay, because bridge jumping is also like a sport, like bungee jumping. Okay.
I don't know. I really don't think that they meant the sport.
You could also have an accident that way. I don't know.
True. And then I'm just going to read a quote directly. I think this is directly from the Wikipedia article. Despite the Gorge suicides, Cornell does not have an above average suicide rate compared to other colleges. The misperception of a high suicide rate has been attributed by some to the public nature of suicides in the gorges.
Well, that must be where I had a friend who went to Cornell. That's why I knew that. But that's sad. I mean,
right. Sorry for the morbid
that's not
facts.
even a high rate. That's normal is.
It's
terrible.
sad. It's very sad.
But I'm glad that's not where I thought that's where that clue was going.
Right. No.
But I'm glad that it wasn't.
Right. But it led us down the path anyway. So what can we do? Do? Do we have anything happier?
Yes. The Wednesday New Yorker on February 3rd by Natan Last.
So good.
Some good ones in here. 10 Across, awkward knee-jerk response to a waiter saying, enjoy your meal. You too.
Yes. Oh, God. When I used to work at a movie theater, people would be like, I would be like, enjoy your movie. People would be like, you too. And then we would laugh. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Can you believe that I just said that? And it was the most awkward time in my life when people would do that. I'm like,
for you, they're the ones who should be feeling awkward, not you.
Well, I also felt awkward for them. Secondhand embarrassment is not fun. So, okay, just think about that. Think about how awkward your waiter feels when you say you two back to them.
They probably don't even care. They're just like, lady, just give me a tip.
True. I hope you tip me at the end of this.
Stop with these niceties. Okay. No, just kidding. Always be nice to your waitstaff.
Always, and always tip them.
Yes.
Tip them well.
42 across, folding tables at a breakfast buffet, question mark. It was omelet stations.
So good.
Ugh, my college used to have an omelet station on Saturday mornings. That was honestly worth waking up early for.
Well, I agree. But the line sometimes, if you got there at a certain time, damn, you're waiting forever for that damn omelet to come out.
That's why we got there early. Quesadilla night, though, forget it. I mean, we would always wait in line, but it was like no one was going to any other stations in the dining hall. It was only in line for these poor, like, 3 people making quesadillas.
Yeah, there's also, we had like a pasta night where you could get like any kind of sauce with any type of pasta and any type of, you know, it could be like chicken, broccoli, whatever. Mm-hmm. And damn, people went ham for that. I was not really into that because you could see that the pasta had been like pre-cooked and they're just sitting out cold. And then they would just put it in a pan and like heat it up with the sauce. And I was like, this is
pasta's not, that's not that exciting to me because I could just make that easily.
I agree.
Make it like,
agree.
Yeah.
Also from the Natan puzzle, 28 across, popular Doritos flavor. The answer is Cool Ranch. And if you need a fun fact about Grace and I tend to twin a lot with the foods we eat, but opposites. So Grace was always like a Cool Ranch Dorito, and I was like the original. She's like a Coke, and I'm like a Pepsi, you know?
Yeah, so we were both blue and red, but switched. And sometimes this would annoy people at work that we ate like that, but that's just what we did. And yes, we would often make the same thing for lunch at work.
I think we went like a couple months straight eating peanut butter sandwiches and Doritos every day, which, whatever, that is just who I am.
Hey, sometimes you just want to relive your childhood school lunch.
And that's that, folks.
Really quick, USA Today crossword, Hop to It on February 1st by Matthew Stock. There were some good ones in here. I liked 54 across, promotion that's never seen, radio ad.
Nice.
And then 61 across, Disney character looking for a kiss. And I was like, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, da-da-da. It was Frog Prince.
Nice.
So I liked that because sometimes men are looking for kisses too. Okay.
They are.
And then
love the men.
My last one was from the Washington Post, Sunday, January 31st by Evan Bernholz. Always a fave. But I do have a shite from this one.
Oh, okay.
A little shite. 49 across, device for many an Apple Music subscriber.
Apple Home? I don't know.
iPod Touch.
Nobody uses that anymore, right?
Exactly. Is Apple Music an old app that was only around on the iPod Touch?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, my brother uses Apple Music. Yeah.
So I wish it would have been included as, do they even make iPod Touches anymore? I'm sure they do. I don't know.
That is a great question. I would assume that they don't. But again, you know what assuming does, folks.
But yeah, so I mean, that could have been included as like before the iPhone. I don't know. Obviously, I can't think of anything better, but
right.
It is fun it was like fun to see it in the actual grid, but I just didn't like the clue for it. But overall, I did like that puzzle. It was called That Makes No Sense. And so, let's see how to even explain this. Basically, there was a bunch of different clues and they all had a sense in it, like taste, smell, sight. Ooh, so for example, 23 across, specialized cell that responds to stimuli is a taste receptor, and that went across. And then all the clues that went vertical on the word taste, you would take out like whatever letter was in taste, because that makes no sense.
Oh,
so,
okay.
One that confused me one that made me realize what was going on was forward down blank pal, and it was GA blank blank, and I was like, it has to be gal pal. What else could it be? But gal is only 3 letters, and then I realized, one of the squares is blank because that's where taste is. So it was all
very
like that,
nice.
And once I figured that out, it was very fun to do. So I did enjoy that puzzle overall. Just iPod Touch, man.
Who's got an iPod Touch anymore? If you have an iPod Touch, write in. Let us know.
Do we sound like snobs saying no one has iPod Touch? But I don't see them really. On public transportation.
The last time I saw one was to sell it.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if it's sold or if we just put it back in the drawer and we're like, well, maybe
I recycled mine with
30
Apple.
years we'll Oh, I think didn't I do that for you or something?
You took it for me.
Real friends. What can I say?
Well, that's all I got.
Okay, that's all I got too. Should we flip the coin?
Let's flip. And if I don't go first, I STG. I'm going to flip.
She STGs. Okay. All right. Everyone breathe. Let's take a second here. Positive vibes for Grace. Positive vibes. And I'm flipping the coin now.
No. Let's do 2 out of 3.
Okay, we're going to do 2 out of 3. Okay, this is crazy stuff, folks. This is crazy stuff. We don't usually do this. I'm going to do it. Ready?
Yeah. We've
Flipping.
done this before.
I think we have, but now I have to figure out how I'm going to edit this with the sound. It's fine. We'll figure it out. Best
Maybe
2 out
a
of 3.
soundless second flip.
Okay, soundless second flip. Here we go. Now.
It's virtual. Why does
Attention.
it take so long to flip?
Tails.
All right, one more. This is the
one
deciding.
more flip. This is the
It's gonna
decider.
be heads. I just know it.
Here we go. Flipping the coin now. It's heads.
Oh my gosh. All right, fine. Just go.
I'm sorry. God, trust me. I like going second sometimes. It gives me time to like get warmed up. Sometimes going first, I'm doing it cold. I'm like, okay, I got to be the first one to go. And by
That's
the
fine.
time it's your turn, I'm like ready to have
It's
fun.
fine. You don't have to make me feel better about it. Just go.
Okay. My topic comes from the Friday, January 29th New Yorker by Patrick Berry. 30 down. Tinky-Winky, Dipsy, Lala, or Poe of children's show fame. And the answer
Teletubbies.
is Teletubby. It's singular Teletubby because it had or in there.
Sorry.
So if you don't know, if there's like a list of things in a crossword clue and they have, it's ended with like, Lala or Poe, it's singular. But if it's Lala and Poe, then they're asking for the plural answer. Anyway, fun facts. Things you learn doing crosswords.
I had that highlighted as one of my potential hits because I liked the, the TikTok audio.
Which one?
That's like, Tinky-Winky, Dipsy.
I don't know if I know that one.
And motherfucking Poe.
I don't know that one. That is insane.
Love those guys.
Honestly, Grace, I thought we might have the same topic this week, so I'm surprised. Because this seems like a topic that you would pick.
It does, but I'm surprised. I figured I couldn't get enough information squeezed out of it.
Okay, I apologize. I got a lot of information squeezed out of this. Are you ready?
All right.
You ready to see what
I'm
I
ready.
squeezed out? Okay. We're going to start with, did you watch Teletubbies growing up?
No. But they did used to play it on the TV, like in my middle school, so I am, somewhat aware
Okay.
of it.
You're a little older than I am, and you're
I'm 6 months older than you, Chelsea.
No, but I'm thinking like you're born in 91.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Teletubbies came out in the US in 98. So you would have been 7-ish. 7
A
or
little too old and mature.
right, and also you're the younger sibling. So I feel like if you're the younger sibling, it's more likely that you're kind of getting into the things that your older siblings are getting into. I was the older sibling, and I had
True.
2 younger siblings. So this came out in 98. I was like 7-ish, right? But my younger siblings would have watched this, and I would have seen it a heck of a lot more than someone who, like you, for instance.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
So, did you guys grow up with Teletubbies? Did you watch it? Did your kids watch it? Let us know. What even is Teletubbies as a show, or are Teletubbies as creatures? Let's get into it. Teletubbies is a British children's television show created by 2 people, Anne Wood and Andrew Davenport, and they created it for the BBC. Anne Wood and Andrew Davenport are known in entertainment as basically creating like lots of children's content, children's TV content specifically. You may have seen some of their work on PBS in the United States. Most of this stuff is only really aired in the UK, but some of their stuff did come to the United States, like Teletubbies. Anne Wood also created a show called Tots TV, which I also watched on PBS. And when I looked this up, it gave me such a shock of nostalgia. I was like, oh my God. It's basically like a trio of ragdoll characters. And they kind of like exist with humans a little bit. I don't know.
I'll have to see a picture.
It's
See if
super...
it jogs a memory.
Yeah, my memories are really vague, but I also just remember this being a show that I watched. And as soon as I saw the characters, I was like, oh, I know that. Weird Weird childhood nostalgia. And then Andrew Davenport also created a show called The Night Garden, which honestly looks like a more bonkers version of Teletubbies. It looks so friggin' trippy.
More trippy than Teletubbies? Because Teletubbies is weird.
Teletubbies is really weird, but the characters on, it looks like on The Night Garden, don't look even humanoid. You know, Teletubbies at least have like arms and legs. Do you know what I mean?
True. They do have that.
And faces. So yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah, like I said, they're known for their contribution to like children's television, the most successful being in America, at least Teletubbies. First aired in the UK in 97 on BBC, and it aired in America for the first time in 98 on PBS. The original show ran until 2001 for a total of 365 episodes, but there was a reboot released in 2014 with 120 episodes. And
Came back.
It came back, baby. And it's aired in over 120 countries in 45 different languages. Okay, fine. You know, get that coin, whatever.
Transcends all cultures.
It does. The show, we're going to get into like the format of the show, but in general, the show focuses on 4 different creatures known as Teletubbies. Their names were mentioned in the clue. We have Tinky-Winky, Dipsy, Lala, and Po. Each of these creatures is a different color, and each has a unique antenna poking out of the top of their head. And they all have little television screens on their tummies, which is what I think gives us the name, like Teletubbies, like television's on your tubbies.
Has to.
I guess. I don't really call my tummy a tubby, but maybe I'll start.
Tubby is more of like a descriptive term for a tummy.
Right. I guess they are kind of tubby in a very cute way.
They are really cute.
They're really cute. Okay.
But they're weird. But they're cute. So what are you going to do?
They're weird and cute. What can you do? It's kind of like me. I'm weird and I'm cute.
You wish you were as cute as a Teletubby.
I do. I've been trying for that my entire life and I've been failing miserably. So let's talk about the format of the show. Essentially, each episode is basically the 4 Teletubbies interacting and playing and like hanging around this peaceful and colorful world called Teletubby Land. And each Teletubby has their own unique interests. They have their own favorite toys. They're all very sweet. They love toddlers. That's kind of their shtick. And then the episodes like show the characters exploring and interacting with various inhabitants in Teletubby Land. So there's like a sun character that is like a baby face with rays of sun around their face. There's a vacuum cleaner that keeps their home nice and clean.
And does some other questionable stuff.
Yes. There are many different types of machines. One makes toast and another supplies custard, which the Teletubbies love eating. And fun fact on the custard front, it's made out of mashed potatoes and acrylic paint and very much not edible, which to me is sad because as a young kid, it looked edible. But then I like looked it up and it looks so disgusting and so much like a bodily fluid that it like kind of made me feel nauseous watching it now.
You could probably get the same effect with mashed potatoes and food coloring.
There you go. Okay. Someone try it at home and send us videos and then have your vacuum cleaner clean it up when you make a mess. Each episode also has pre-recorded segments kind of cut into it. And these segments are shown on the tummy screens of the Teletubbies. And like these pre-recorded segments show real kids doing like real kid activities like sports, crafts, just like normal things, playing, sitting around in a classroom.
Yeah, Sesame Street has been doing that. Actually, all those kids shows love to do that type of stuff.
They really do.
Where do they find these kids? This has to be like producers or like, hey, my cousin has a kid.
Like the local primary school, they're like, John, the cameraman, can go down and film them, which seems creepy now that I'm saying it. But
yeah, I don't know how. Anyways, that's a question for another day. How do they get all these children to do these like little snippets?
Good question. I'm sure they paid someone somewhere and got the kids on
to scout them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm right. All right, let's talk about the characters. Do you think that you could guess the color and the shape of their antenna if I gave you their name?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Tinky-Winky.
Purple triangle.
Wow. Okay, how did you do that? That's insane. Tinky-Winky is the first and oldest Teletubby. Like Grace said, purple, has a triangular antenna, and his preferred toy is a red bag. In the original series, he was played by Dave Thompson and then Simon Shelton. We're going to talk a little bit about Tinky-Winky a little later. What about Dipsy, the second Teletubby?
Dipsy. Green?
Yes.
Is she just straight up?
Straight up, baby, okay? Because
erect.
erect and a little tapered at the end, you know, just how I like it. Oh no, I might cut that out. Okay. Yeah.
Family friendly.
Family friendly, right. Okay. Yeah, so it's a straight up, and he's named Dipsy because the shape of his antenna is shaped like a dipstick, which I guess is just a stick that you dip.
Dipsy's a boy too.
Dipsy's a boy.
Okay.
He is the more stubborn of the Teletubbies, and he sometimes refuses to go along with the other Teletubby opinions and ideas. He also has a darker face than the others, and the creators say that he's a black character, and the actor who plays him is black. So, okay.
I can't, I guess they do have faces. I cannot picture like what their faces are, like flesh colored.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to look it up.
You should look it up. You should look it up while I'm telling you more about these characters, because I think you need to see what they look like.
Well, I'm going to wait to see if I can guess them all.
Okay, cool. And so Dipsy's preferred toy is a black and white patterned hat, and he was played by John Simmet. And like I said, John is black. Then we get to the ladies. Lala. What color is Lala?
She's yellow. I don't remember what her little thingy is. Is it just like crooked? No. Is it like a little lightning bolt type thing?
Very cute. I think it looks a little like a lightning bolt. It's curly.
Oh, okay.
It's more curly than lightningy. Yeah. So Lala is the third Teletubbies, yellow, curly antenna, super sweet, loves to sing and dance. She looks out for the other Teletubbies. That's her job, okay? You know, doing all the emotional labor for the other Teletubbies. And her favorite toy is an orange ball, and she was played by Nikki Smedley in the original series. And then we've got Poe, the fourth Teletubby.
Red with a circle. I honestly did not look this up before. I don't know how I know all of this.
How do you know this?
I don't know. It's just like seared into my memory. I always thought Poe was a guy. I thought the yellow and green one were the two girls. Not that it matters. Does gender even matter on Teletubby land?
Oh, this is very interesting.
I know. There's some controversy.
There's some controversies.
Tinky-Winky.
Yes, Tinky-Winky's got some controversies. But yeah, Poe is the fourth Teletubby, red, you know, a bubble stick antenna. So it's like a straight stick and then like a circle where you would like blow up bubbles. I mean, you don't actually do that with their antenna, but it's what it looks like.
You cannot use other people's antennas for that.
You cannot.
You have to ask them first.
Consent. Always ask consent. So yeah, Poe is the shortest. She's the youngest. She speaks softly, and her creators say that she's Cantonese. And her favorite toy is a red and blue scooter. She's played by a Chinese woman, Poi Fan Lee, which is kind of cool. And then there's a cast of supporting characters. You got Nana the vacuum. You have these things called voice trumpets, which are basically like little periscopes that pop up out of the hills, and the Teletubbies would like run around and play with them. There's Sun Baby. We talked about Sun Baby. And then, of course, the rabbits, which are infamous. And you may know about rabbits in relation to Teletubbies, which we'll talk about them later. So, like, why the Teletubbies? The BBC requested this TV show, right? And they wanted a TV show aimed at preschoolers. And they asked Ann Wood and Andrew Davenport's production company, Ragdale, to pitch. They were both interested in addressing this idea of how children would grow up reacting in an increasingly technological world of the late 90s, which is interesting because now all kids are born into a technological world.
Yeah.
So both Wood and Davenport had recently traveled to Washington, D.C. They visited the Smithsonian, and Davenport thought it was hilarious that the astronauts in all of their gear looked like toddlers in diapers. Okay. And so there's this article in The Guardian titled How We Made Teletubbies, in which Davenport says, quote, I was fascinated by the moon landings. It struck me as funny that, as the pinnacle of human achievement, the figures that emerged in bulky spacesuits from landing capsules are like toddlers with oversized heads and foreshortened legs, and they responded to the excitement of their new world by bouncing about. So I devised characters based on Spaceman with limited language, just like the emergent speech of young children.
Cute.
Yeah, so they drew up a bunch of sketches of technological babies, basically, and pitched them to the BBC. The BBC was like, sign us up
We
immediately.
love this. We've never seen anything like this before.
There's a TikTok sound for this. I wish I could pull it off the top of my head.
Yeah. Beautiful, unique, never been done.
Exactly. So that's what the BBC said to them verbatim. And it was time for production. They needed like a specific location. And so the production company also like to film all of their shows outdoors. And so they decided to film on this farm in this like, you know, remote farming town, village type thing. And the problem was that a TV show had previously filmed in this location. And so the townspeople were kind of annoyed that another TV show had come in. That was going to kind of disrupt, quiet village life. And then a catch, the Teletubby company actually had to dig a massive hole in the middle of this farmland, which pissed people off even more. And so basically,
rightfully.
Right. And so basically the townspeople protested. And so Anne Wood had to go before the council and basically, say her piece, we should be able to, film here. Here's another quote from Anne from that Guardian article. Quote, I had to make my case to the planning authorities, wondering how, if they refused me, I'd explain to the BBC that I'd spent £150,000 digging a hole and might have to spend another £150 filling it in. I assure them that it was a low-key children's program and no one would be aware of the filming, but as soon as it was broadcast, we had photographers crawling across fields and hovering from helicopters. We had to hire a security firm to police the site. We were so keen to keep the location secret, we would blindfold visitors. I found this really interesting because at the time that this was happening, Teletubbies premiered and became a huge, crazy success overnight. It premiered in 1997, and the press were crazy about it. They tried to find how to get on the site, how to get pictures of it, how to get any information they could. And honestly, the only cultural moment that was able to stop the onslaught of press bombarding the Teletubby set was, sadly, the death of Princess Diana.
Oh my gosh, it's all connected. Do they talk about Teletubbies and The Crown?
Oh, they should. Oh my God. Now I have to go catch up on The Crown. But I found that was interesting. And also they talk about how they're in the middle of this field, right? And people are trying to get on set, whether it was photographers or journalists, whatever. But they also had young kids trying to break onto set. There was a big rave EDM music festival happening close by, and a bunch of ravers tried to break onto set because you can imagine how insane it must be to be potentially on drugs, breaking onto the Teletubby set and just tripping.
Yes. Wait, so it's really outside? Because it looks so fake. I mean, I haven't seen it in forever, but I feel like it looks perfect little green hills.
No, I know. I don't know much more about the set design, but they filmed a majority of the stuff outside. The stuff that they filmed inside was in that freaking curved out dome hole, I think, which is that they spent £150,000 on.
England's best kept secret. How they filmed Teletubbies.
Super random. So let's get to the auditions. They auditioned over 600 people to find the perfect actors for the Teletubbies. And the whole deal was they wanted the Teletubbies not to be children, but to appeal to children. And those who were casted in the roles had to develop their characters' unique style of speech by practicing how they spoke to children. So the woman who played Poe was Chinese, and she struggled to find her Teletubby voice in English, so she ended up speaking, I found either Cantonese or Mandarin. I couldn't find which she actually ended up speaking, but so the Teletubbies will speak a version of goo goo gaga, how you
gibberish.
Would speak gibberish to a baby in English. But Poe couldn't figure it out, so Poe ended up using Goo Goo Gaga in either Mandarin or Cantonese. Cannot confirm which language she spoke.
That's interesting.
Right? It's very cool.
Have to re-listen to see if you can spot the difference.
Right. So I'm going to jump into the rabbits because I think this is interesting. If you're familiar with Teletubbies, the rabbits played a big role in the show. They were just on set, and in every episode, you would see the rabbits kind of just burrowing and living on the hills, and sometimes the Teletubbies...
These are real rabbits.
Real rabbits, and sometimes the Teletubbies would interact with these rabbits, right? Cool. It seems kind of normal. You have an animal trainer, you bring rabbits on, you'd have a done deal, right? Boom, done deli. No. So, you may or may not know this, but the scale of the set was scaled extra large for the reason that the character suits were massive. Huge. So, for context on size, the smallest Teletubby, Poe, the character suit was actually 6'6" tall.
How was
and she was tiny
in that?
Right.
She's on stilts or something?
It must be something like that. And so then
or maybe they see out of
the mouth,
out of the stomach,
or out of. It's crazy. I was shocked. And so Tinky-Winky, Dipsy, and Lala were closer to 10 foot tall.
Oh
the
my
character.
gosh, that's terrifying.
Right. And so they had to bring rabbits in that the Teletubbies could interact with without dwarfing them. And so the only way that they were able to do that, they found this breed of rabbit called like Flemish Giants, I believe they're called.
Those things are huge.
They're massive. And so they couldn't get any to like be on set, except they had to buy them from breeders that were breeding them for food.
Mm-hmm.
So they rescued these rabbits. They rescued 11 of them and brought them on set and gave them basically free reign of set so they could kind of like hop around. They banged a lot, you know, made babies, that kind of thing.
Didn't they poop everywhere too?
Pooped everywhere. Sadly, however, their breeding conditions gave them horrible hearts, like enlarged hearts. And so they died all the time, sadly.
Oh my gosh.
And they lost 7 of the 11 original rabbits because of like the bad breeding that they had.
TV is crazy.
TV is crazy. And then, you know, let's talk a little about the cast. In terms of the cast, like I said, David Thompson, he originally played Tinky-Winky for the first season, but he was fired before it even aired. He was replaced because, according to the creators, he didn't have the right Teletubby vibe or attitude. And the correct phrasing in his termination letter was that his, quote, interpretation of the role was not acceptable, end quote. Okay, drama. I wonder why. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Thompson later came out and said, like, I have a feeling it was because he knew kind of going into the season that something was probably amiss because he was the only Teletubby that got dubbed. All the other Teletubbies were like, they used their actual audio. Mm-hmm. And so Thompson was replaced by this guy, Simon Shelton, who finished out the filming of the original series, but sadly died at the age of 52 from falling down a well while drunk, apparently because he had a history of alcohol dependency. What can you do? So
cursed. Tinky-Winky's cursed.
Tinky-Winky's cursed. So yeah, how was Teletubbies received? Teletubbies is an incredibly surreal program. Imagine like you have like a group of aliens that show up to Earth and are like, hey, can you show us some of your famous TV programs from like across history? And you show them Teletubbies. Like, what would they say to see that? Like, what would they say? I mean, what do you say when you see Teletubbies? It's kind of like, you're like, what is the meaning behind all of this, right? And I want to read this quote from an article I found called The Untold Truth of Teletubbies on thelist.com. Quote, featuring a cast of what look like mutant baby aliens in vividly colored snowsuits, the show was specifically designed to appeal to young children who hadn't yet intellectualized the process of learning. With its psychedelically pastoral sets and use of gibberish as a language, the show promoted nonlinear creative development, meeting its target audience right at its own level. And I think that's easy to come to the conclusion of in retrospect. But like Teletubbies wasn't, positively received initially. At the time of its release, parents objected to like the goo goo gaga style of communication. They thought it would negatively affect their children's ability to communicate coherently. Other questions that the show raised: does the lack of plot provide any educational value to children? Should kids under 2 even be watching television? And then some physicians claimed it would encourage TV attachments to young children. Interesting. And then, does the colorful, repetitive nature of the show provide an ideal experience for college kids tripping on psychedelic drugs? I mean, it doesn't. Maybe. Not. Yeah. According to the BBC, quote, some people were concerned over the Teletubbies language, which was based on the first words children say, but by encouraging the viewers to join in and play, Teletubbies successfully stimulated children of all abilities to communicate with confidence. Okay.
All right.
And so then there's the whole thing with Tinky-Winky, right? The whole controversy.
The Tinky-Winky incident.
The Tinky-Winky just thing. So the Tinky-Winky controversy is essentially this. Is Tinky-Winky gay?
That's what I had heard.
Right. So I remember this vividly, even though I was relatively young when it happened. Essentially, there were claims. We're going to back up a little bit. So we know that the guy who played Tinky-Winky was let go after season 1, right? And so there are claims that the producers of the show knew early on that Dave Thompson's portrayal of Tinky-Winky would be controversial. As you know, his lines were entirely dubbed. Apparently, he spoke too high-pitched, and he was booted from the show before it even aired. Was his firing related to how he portrayed Tinky-Winky? Was he really just not doing a good job, or did the creators know ahead of time that he may appear too queer? We may never know, but in 1997, Andy Medhurst, a lecturer at Sussex University, wrote into a publication called The Face, and he wrote about Tinky-Winky, saying, quote, "He may be the first queer role model for toddlers." And this was probably the first reference to Tinky-Winky's sexuality in all of media. So then, of course, The Guardian chimed in and called Tinky-Winky, quote, "a gay icon who prances around in a particularly campy way." And then, of course, the floodgates were open by then with all sorts of discourse on the sexuality of the big bumbling purple Tinky-Winky. And of course, then the Teletubbies made it to the US in 1998. The Washington Post called him, quote, "the gay Tinky-Winky," and said that he was, quote, "the new Ellen DeGeneres," who at the time was probably the most popular gay person on TV. And so basically they were saying that Tinky-Winky was going to replace Ellen DeGeneres as like the United States gay icon.
That'd be welcome these days.
I mean, I just need anything. You can keep Ellen DeGeneres. We don't need her anymore. She can go.
She's getting, I'm pretty sure she's getting canceled. Her
she's,
show is not going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway,
back to Teletubbies.
Back to Tinky-Winky's queerness. Then there's a publication called The Advocate, which is an LGBT magazine. They said, quote, "Tinky-Winky comes across as a big, fabulous F word. He's become a gay icon, and the same fundamentalists that boycott Disney are going to flip when they see him." Speaking of fundamentalists in the US, they eventually did get a hold of Tinky-Winky and his queer controversy. And in 1999... an American televangelist named Jerry Falwell, who is he called himself, quote, "founder of the anti-gay industry," whatever the fuck that means. So, yeah.
There's a whole industry?
There's an industry. Apparently he's the president. He's no longer alive, so I wonder who the president is now. Anyway, so Falwell claimed that Tinky-Winky was gay and warned parents that the character was a bad role model for children. He went on national television and talked about this on radio shows, published articles, everything you can possibly think of a televangelist doing to talk shit about this character. He cited Tinky-Winky's color, which is like a pride color, purple. What? He cited the triangular antenna, which is like a pride symbol. And his red bag as a subtle, though intentional, representation of his sexual orientation. And yeah.
Okay, are any of the Teletubbies sexual at all? How can you even, like, they're not sexual beings.
They're not. They're asexual and agender.
Yeah. Whatever. That's dumb. People need to just, even if he was gay, who cares? Obviously, back in the day, a bunch of people would have cared, but it's like,
right.
How are you saying this random, like, alien blob who has a television on his stomach is somehow teaching kids, like, a bad gay influence on kids? Like, he's not even a human.
Honestly, there's so much around this controversy. I had such a hard time boiling it into what I just boiled it down to. But like, basically the discourse on Tinky-Winky went on for years. And like, so many people chimed in. And like, of course, you have both sides, like, we should take this out to TV. And then the other side is like, it doesn't even matter if he's gay or not. And then you have like, they're agender, asexual. Like, he couldn't possibly be gay because he's not even a human. You know, all of this.
Take it off TV. I just remember there's one scene of like, it's like Tinky-Winky. I think they do have genders because they refer to them as like the narrator will say he and she. So like Tinky-Winky loves his red purse, and it's like him, you know, running around with a red bag, or I don't know if they say bag or purse or whatever. And I remember people like using that as like, look, he's gay. It's like, okay.
Right. In the British version, it's very clearly like a bag. But yeah, I think to Americans, a bag being held by a man is a purse, which is like a gendered thing.
And purse is wallet in Britain.
Right. So, God, who knows, man? These people are crazy. Regardless of whether people liked the show or whether it was a work of art or some sort of subliminal gay agenda thing, Teletubbies were and still are a massive success. According to Priceonomics, after just one season on air, the show had attracted 2 million viewers per episode, grossed $800 million in merchandise sales, and launched a best-selling preschool book series. Even the program's theme song, Teletubbies Say EO, saw explosive dividends. It sold over 1 million copies and topped the UK singles chart for 32 weeks.
Well.
Yep. And I'm ending on a quote from the creator and Wood, just to like round us all out. Quote, "We were trying to reflect children's experiences back to them. It was a world in which technology was developing at an extraordinary rate. Children were growing up in an environment where objects spoke from the walls or moved about. As I'd expected, the series threw our company into a bigger arena. From then on, there was the stress of trying to follow up the success, but art is not a factory. We just happen to capture the zeitgeist of a changing world.
Beautiful.
And that's Teletubbies.
Thank you, Teletubbies, and thank you, Chelsea. And we should post that meme of like that poor child in a hospital bed being visited by the Teletubbies, but it's like a bootleg Teletubby and they just look horrifying.
Oh
Do you
my,
know, have you,
yes,
you know
I know,
what I'm talking
exactly.
about?
I love the bootleg costumes of like any, cartoon or like animated character or whatever. They're just so scary.
Yeah.
Like the scary.
Teletubbies can be kind of scary. And especially if they're 10 feet tall. Like I would not want to run into one in the back of an alley, like turn a corner.
Could you imagine turning an alley and then there's Tinky-Winky with his red bag at the back of the alley? No thanks. Unsubscribe.
No thanks. I'll pass.
So yeah.
Cool.
That's what
Well,
I
thank
got
you.
for you.
My topic is from the February 1st Washington Post puzzle by Rebecca Goldstein. I normally don't do the dailies Washington Post, but I quite enjoyed it. So my clue is 17 across. Ponce de Leon's Pursuit.
The Fountain of Youth.
Correct. You've just won $10,000.
Whoa.
All right, we're going to talk about Ponce de Leon, or as I will call him, Ponce de Leon, because that's easier for me to say, and that's also a high school in Miami, and that's what I'm used to calling it.
Okay.
And the Fountain of Youth. Now, let me ask you one thing. If the Fountain of Youth did exist, do you think it would be in Florida, of all places?
God, no.
Well,
God.
According to legend, that's like the most famous place that it could be, potentially.
That's so disappointing.
Yeah, well,
No
maybe
offense
it's not
to
in
you,
Florida.
who lived in Florida. Sorry.
Yes, I'm allowed to talk crap about Florida because I'm from there.
Sorry.
Other people are also allowed to because, Florida has not done anything to help its reputation. But did you know that maybe Ponce de Leon wasn't even looking for the Fountain of Youth?
Okay, what was he looking
I don't
for?
Nothing. Well, I'll tell you, colonization.
Oh, right. Makes sense.
But he certainly wasn't the first person supposedly in search of life-giving water or anything to reverse aging. Basically, humans have been afraid of aging since ever.
Right.
Historically
Makes sense.
speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the search for like eternal youth or immortality spans centuries of myths and legends, especially having to do with water. So water historically has been connected to birth, cleansing, and life since the beginning of time, basically. Wasn't someone born in water?
Huh?
From
Jesus?
sea foam? No.
Oh, a mermaid? Oh, Ariel.
No. Some Greek god. Now you're going to make me sound... You should know this. Wasn't Aphrodite born in sea foam?
It's a great question, Grace. I really like where your head's at.
I'm going to sound dumb.
You're not.
That's
You don't
true.
sound dumb. I sound dumb. I'm the one who said Jesus. Christ. Jesus was born in a manger. Anyway, continue.
Okay. So one of the first mentions of magic water is from Greek historian Herodotus.
I love it.
Herodotus, in the 5th century BC. He wrote of a fountain of youth in the land of Macrobians, which allowed the people of the region there to have extraordinary long lifespans.
What was extraordinary long to them, do you think? Like 50?
60? No.
We're so stupid.
Yes. In the 4th century AD, Alexander the Great was also on the search of and even claimed to have come across a healing river of paradise. All right, so similar legends like this popped up all over the world: Japan, Polynesia, England, the Caribbean, and there's paintings throughout history that depict the idea of youthful water.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a 1546 painting by Lucas Cranach the Elder, aptly named... Oh, his name is Lucas Cranach the Elder. The painting is aptly named Fountain of Youth and depicts a swimming pool where older people are getting in on the left side and coming out much younger on the right side.
Okay.
That's from 1546, so this idea has been around for a while.
For a long, long time, kids.
Yeah. Although I guess that was after Ponce de Leon, but
Tuck
anyways.
Everlasting did not invent the Fountain of Youth.
I was gonna say, we had to read Tuck Everlasting for school and then watch
Yes.
the movie.
Was
in
that with
theaters.
Alexis Bledel?
Yeah, but why was that book? Was it because they wanted to get kids like excited about reading because you could see a movie after?
Maybe. It's so weird that we both watched and saw that in school.
Yeah. Shout out to 6th grade. Okay.
Yes.
But it's safe to say that the person most famously associated with the Fountain of Youth is, as this clue depicts, Juan Ponce de Leon.
All right. Hit me with the good stuff.
All right. So Ponce de Leon was a 16th century Spanish conquistador. He was friends with Christopher Columbus. Boo.
Boo.
In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and in 1493, Columbus killed all he could see. And Ponce de Leon sailed with him on his second voyage to the Americas.
Wow.
So he and his family settled on an island named Hispaniola, aka the Dominican Republic, and he became a military commander and eventually governor. He violently crushed a Taino rebellion and was rewarded with hundreds of acres of land. And he used forced Indian labor to take care of crops and livestock. So basically, he was just this horrible person who has schools named after him now.
Wow, I love that.
In 1506, he came across a nearby island named Borinquen, where he found a bunch of gold, which was lucky for him. And in 1508, the Spanish king sent him back there to explore and colonize that island, which eventually became, or was called, Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So he was the governor of Puerto Rico for 2 years until the king decided to replace him with Christopher Columbus's son, Diego. And Ponce de Leon was not happy about this. He was quite salty about this, and he set off to find more land to, steal from and pillage and kill people on.
God.
So,
all right, let's do it.
He explored Florida and the Bahamas in search of new lands and treasures, one of which supposedly the Fountain of Youth. So in 1513, his ships landed on Florida's east coast, which is now known as St. Augustine, which is the oldest continuously European occupied city in the U.S. I have been to St. Augustine because that's one of the few interesting places in Florida. I went there
What makes
once.
it interesting?
Because it's the oldest city in the U.S.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay, maybe I'll go one day.
European colonized city in the U.S. Obviously,
Right.
It was around much longer before then.
Right.
But he claimed the area for Spain, and he named it La Florida, or Florida.
What does it even mean? Like
Florida?
flow rider? Like
Something to do with flowers, of flowers.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay, something with spraying flowers, yeah. So he returned to Spain, and he was named the Captain General. So basically he was getting all these rewards and perks for, colonizing. And then about 7 years later, he was sent to Bimini by the Spanish king. However, when his crew landed on the west coast of Florida, they missed. Bimini is by the Bahamas. They were wounded by Indian arrows.
Good.
Finally, they got what's coming to them.
Yeah,
So
bye.
many of his men died, and Ponce de Leon eventually passed away in 1952 from his injuries in Havana.
Aww.
Oh, he died?
He died?
Oh, he passed away? And then he was buried in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So that's that's Ponce de Leon and what he did. And there is a lot of documentation and letters throughout all of his travel, and none of them mention any sort of fountain of youth or search for magical waters.
Interesting.
So why is he so associated with this?
Why? Tell me.
Well, it wasn't until after his death that writers and historians started to connect him to Fountain of Youth. Even though the documents that exist about his travels show that Ponce de Leon only cared about 3 things, okay? He cared about colonization, spreading Christianity, and figuring out if Florida was a peninsula or an island. So dude, it's a peninsula. Stop killing people now. Just
guy, my dude. Yeah, you're going to
guys only
figure
care
out
about
that.
one thing, and it's disgusting.
He's about to figure out that this thing, he thinks it's an island, but he's going to keep going up the East Coast until he hits Massachusetts. Then he's going to be like, I think I went too far.
There's mountains. I don't know if there's mountains in Massachusetts, but by the time he got there, he would have crossed through mountains.
Yes.
Okay. So, an example of this post-death association with Fountain of Youth would be in 1535, Gonzalo Fernández de Oviedo y Valdez, who was a Spanish historian and writer, accused Ponce de Leon of seeking the fountain in order to cure his sexual impotence. So this may have been the start of all the rumors. Apparently, Ponce de Leon had a reputation for being a sex-crazy jerk, which I don't find hard to believe.
Right.
But people may have started this theory that he was looking for the Fountain of Youth kind of to make fun of him. Like, oh, this guy is just,
right,
a horn dog, and he just like wants, that's why he's like doing all exploring so much, because he just wants to like feed his sexual appetite.
Men really do only want one thing.
Yeah, the Fountain of Youth.
Am I right, ladies? Anyway, continue.
So in 1601, almost 50 years after Ponce died, Antonio de Herrera y Tordesillas, beautiful name, the Spanish king's chief historian, wrote about Ponce's first voyage. This was 50 years later, so some stuff gets like lost.
Mm-hmm.
But Herrera mentioned the Fountain of Youth in passing, writing that it, quote, turned old men to boys, but the public like held on to this one little passing comment.
God, they had nothing else to hold on to, I guess.
Well, as far as like Ponce de Leon's reputation. J. Michael Francis, a history professor at the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg, said, quote, what Ponce is really looking for is islands that will become part of what he hopes will be a profitable new governorship. From everything I can gather, he was not at all interested or believed that he would find some kind of miraculous spring or lake or body of water.
Okay.
But that did not stop the story from spreading. I mean, it spread all the way to our Washington Post crossword puzzle today.
It did. It spread.
When the Spanish ceded Florida to the U.S. in 1819, American writers continued on with the legend, and St. Augustine fanned the flame as well. By the early 20th century, they had a statue of Ponce de Leon in the Central Plaza and turned a mineral-dense stream into a tourist attraction by calling it the Fountain of Youth.
Gotta love it. Gotta love people trying to make a quick buck off of colonization.
And by the way, look up, we'll post a picture on Instagram of the so-called Fountain of Youth. It's like a, little trickle. It's like a water fountain. So, thousands of visitors go to the Fountain of Youth Archaeological Park to try some of the sulfur-smelling water every year.
Yeah.
Thousands of people a year. The guest book dates back, well, they're probably just going to St. Augustine too. There's not much to do there, I'm guessing.
True.
No, if someone here is from St. Augustine, I'm sorry. I'm sure
you just gotta take it as fact. If you live somewhere where there's not much to do, I mean,
I don't know if there's not much to do there. I'm just talking shit. Okay. So
the
guest
shit
book,
get hit. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
The guest book dates back to 1868, making it the oldest attraction in Florida. So take that, Epcot ball. You have competition. So what's the deal with this mineral water? Well, the spring comes from the Floridian Aquifer, which lies below most of northern Florida, and the water contains over 30 minerals, and I assume it smells and tastes like eggs, as sulfur water tends to do. I just love that. In my research, people says, yes, the water tastes really bad. But, catfight alert.
Okay.
Melbourne Beach, a city south of St. Augustine, claims that Ponce de Leon actually landed there, and they have their own Fountain of Youth that you can visit.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's between those two gals.
I love the drama. I'm here for it.
Because there's not even proof for sure that he landed in St. Augustine.
Right.
So, in 1934, the Smithsonian did some archaeological digs at the Fountain of Youth Park in St. Augustine, and they did find some Christianized Indian burials, revealing that the site was a location for a Christian mission, likely one of Ponce de Leon. So I tend to believe it's in St. Augustine over Melbourne, but
who's to say?
I'm not going to die on that hill.
No. I'm going to pick a different hill to die on. I don't care about Ponce de Leon. I mean, I guess I care in the grand scheme of like knowing history, but...
Yeah. Okay,
sorry,
so
Ponce.
Basically, at the end of the day, there is no concrete proof that Ponce de Leon was looking for the Fountain of Youth, and even less proof that it was in St. Augustine.
Okay.
And
noted.
no, the sulfur water there has not made anyone younger, so it obviously does not work. It is not the Fountain of Youth.
Clearly.
And then I got all of my information from an article on legendsofamerica.com called The Elusive Fountain of Youth by Kathy Weiser, and history.com, The Myth of Ponce de Leon and the Fountain of Youth by Jesse Greenspan. But now I want to pivot into people that have actually lived a very long time, right?
Okay.
There's people who have lived very long. And thanks to TitleMax.com, we're going to find out about them. Who knew that they had articles? But they had a very nice infographic called The Top 100 Verified Oldest People and What We Can Learn From Them by Carly Hallman. So
I'm loving this.
Thank you, TitleMax. Get your title back with TitleMax.
Please sponsor us.
I just want to say this is 100 verified oldest people. Likely there are definitely other people in the world who,
Are
weren't-
older, maybe?
Yeah, or who lived longer from back in the day before they were recording this, but whatever. This is just what I have according to this
Start
article.
us off.
And I'm not sure when it was written, maybe 2013, but okay. So this is stats on the top 100 oldest people, or people who have like lived to the longest. They're not currently alive at the time of this.
Okay.
How many of these people do you think are female?
70%.
94.
Holy heck. Women are amazing. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
women are amazing.
All right, now we're going to break down what countries they're from.
Okay.
So the most, well, at least in the study, 44 are from the United States, 25 are from Japan, 5 are from France, 5 are from Italy, 5 are from the UK, 3 are from Canada, 2 are from Portugal, 2 are from Puerto Rico, 2 are from Spain, one each from Australia, Brazil, Ecuador, French Guiana, St. Bartholomew, Jamaica, and the Netherlands.
Interesting. America, it's very interesting to me. Why?
We are number 1 at something, I guess. Keeping people alive too long. No, just kidding. Okay, this is interesting. So they polled all their birth months. What month do you think has the most oldest people?
Probably, I would say September, October, or November.
August.
Okay.
Shout out to me.
Shout out to Grace.
So 15 out of the 100 are in August. Next up, we have March with 12. Then May and September have 11. And it just goes down from there. The one with the least is December.
Interesting.
Only 3 people born in December.
How many in February? Any?
February 6.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it,
You're
folks.
not bottom of the barrel, but you're below the middle.
Okay, good to
Below
know.
average.
Sounds about right to my life.
We can't all be born in August, okay? And we just
We
have to accept
cannot.
that. Here's so out of the 100 people in this survey, 93 of them are dead. 7 of them were still alive at the time of the survey, so maybe they've
Wow.
gotten even older since then. I mean, that is
Ooh.
how time works. So
Yes.
birth decade, 38. So the most of them were born between 1890 and 1899.
Wow. Why do you think that is?
Because the later you're born, the better health care you have, maybe.
Oh, well,
More access to okay, 12 of these 100 people were born from 1870 to 1879.
Wow.
So that means they lived a really long time, back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
When people were like in iron lungs and stuff.
True.
Okay, so now these are the top 10 oldest people at the time of this
Okay.
infograph. So there's like a little how old they were, and then like a little quote from them, and
Cute.
some blurbs. All right. So Jean Calment is the oldest woman on record. She has lived to be 122 years old.
Wow, good for her. Oh my
and she
god.
was from France. And she was quoted as saying, "If you can't do anything about it, don't worry about it." And that's probably why she lived so long. I wish I could think that way. Although I guess once you hit 100, you can't.
I don't know if I'll ever hit 100 just based on the anxiety I've been dealing with in my 20s. So I've definitely shaved off 20 years.
Okay, well, get this. She smoked for 96 years, and she loved chocolate and red wine.
Wow.
Can you believe that? She smoked for 96 years.
I cannot.
That happens, though, sometimes. People, smoke and drink their whole life, and they live to be, 100 with no health issues.
You just don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get in life.
So she holds the longest confirmed human lifespan, and she met Vincent van Gogh. She lived through the Russian Revolution, the advent of the motor car, film and telephone, and both world wars. So she went through a lot.
God bless her. I'm not a God-believing person, but God bless her.
All right, next we have Sarah Noss from the United States. She lived to be 119. She said not letting things upset her was the secret to her longevity. Okay?
I'm dying early, basically.
Oops. She was one of 7 living generations in her family.
Wow.
And when she was first told that she was the oldest living person alive, she responded with a smile and said, "So what?" I love that energy.
I do too.
All right, next up we have Lucy Hannah Nee Tyrell, and she lived to be 117 years old. Her status was recognized 10 years after her death, so there's not a lot of interviews about her. People only care when you're breaking records, I guess.
Right.
but I believe she's African American.
Cool.
The blurb said the oldest African American had escaped racial tensions in the South to live in Detroit.
Damn.
Far less is known about her than many other super centenarians.
Wow.
All right, so Marie-Louise Fabroni Milieu from Canada. She lived to be 117.
Good for her.
She's quoted by her daughter as saying, "Hard work could never kill a person."
I beg to differ. But, teach their own.
She had 12 children. Only 4 survived her. I mean, which makes sense because she lived to be 117.
Well, yeah.
Her
kids would have to,
yeah.
old to, wow.
And she smoked well into her 90s. I guess she quit, though.
Imagine being in your 90s and be like, I'm done this smoking shtick.
Yes, you just get tired of it. All right, next we have Nabi Tajima. She's from Japan. She lived to be 117 as well. Seems to be the magic number. She has claimed that her secret to longevity is to, quote, eat delicious things.
Okay, maybe I will live for a long time then.
Yeah.
That is my life motto. If you're restricting your life by restricting what you're eating, you're not living life to the fullest. You only live once, so eat what you want to eat. Take that advice if you can or not.
Well, none of these people said stuff about you have to eat healthy and do all this stuff. So.
Right.
Okay, next we have Violet Brown from Jamaica. She lived to be 117 as well. She said in an interview, quote, "Hard work. I was a cane farmer. I would do every work I could manage to help myself."
Damn.
She was a sugar plantation worker, maid, and entrepreneur, and the last living subject of Queen Victoria. She owned a bread shop, and she ate plenty of fruit and sometimes cow's foot.
Okay.
So maybe a little bit of fruit, a little cow's foot. You're good to go.
Works for me.
All right, next we have Emma Morano. She's also lived to be 117 from Italy. She said, quote, "Being single was the top reason she was still alive. That and getting to bed early."
Yes. Okay, not the getting to bed thing, but the single thing. That is a mood.
She ate 2 raw eggs and 1 cooked egg every day since she was diagnosed with anemia at 20. And she lived for 100 more years after that. So, science, what's going on?
What's going on?
She also avoided meat and loved cookies.
I love cookies.
So, shout out to you. All right. Misao Okawa, 117 as well, from Japan. She claims sushi and sleep were the top reasons she lived so long. Great.
I can jam with that.
On her 117th birthday, she said her life seems short.
Oh my God, my heart to her.
Sad. Maria Capovilla from Ecuador, she lived to be 116. Her daughter said, quote, "She always had a very tranquil character. She does not get upset by anything."
I cannot commit to that lifestyle. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
She was famous for fanning herself with a fine fan, and she loved reading the newspaper. She nearly died and was given last rites at age 100. So that's like a Catholic thing when the priests come and, prepare you to die. But then she lived another 16 years. So
good for her.
She was like, not today.
She's like,
it ain't happening.
I'm back, fuckers.
Exactly. Next, we have Susannah Mushat Jones from the United States. She lived to be 116. She said, quote, "I have no secret. I just live with my family. That's the only thing I can say. My family makes me happy."
That's cute.
So she lived in New York City during the Harlem Renaissance for most of her life. Her parents were sharecroppers and her grandparents were slaves. She was a teacher. She did not have any children. And she refused to get a colonoscopy, mammogram, or a recommended pacemaker. She was famous for eating eggs, bacon, and grits every morning.
Damn. Oh my God, that is the life.
Yeah. So these people, did what made them happy.
It's amazing.
And it worked out well for them.
I'm proud of all of them for making it that far. I truly
can't imagine. Because
Grace, if we're together, if we're still around at 117, you better believe I'm going to give you a hard time just because, what else are you going to do at 117? I'll be calling you on Zoom, be like, "Oh, should we record the podcast this week?"
We're just screaming into a microphone that's not even plugged in.
Right.
I'm going to start eating 2 raw eggs and 1 cooked egg every day.
I'm going to keep eating cookies.
Yes, I will also do that for my health.
For
and
my
also red wine and chocolate. The oldest one in her life. She loved that. And I might even take up smoking.
Hey,
for these people.
Screw it. Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to bring it back to the Fountain of Youth and this search for, eternal life or anti-aging that humans are obsessed with a quote from the New York Times article called "Searching for the Fountain of Youth" by Sam Anderson. The fountain of youth, whatever it is, would feel like justice. Time is a liquid. It flows unfairly through us and past us. We ingest it without effort, without chewing. So it only makes sense that we would look for a liquid to save us. A liquid cure to a liquid curse. Generation after generation has chased eternity in liquid form. The patent formula, the fish oil, the coconut water, the juice fast, the wheatgrass, the lotions. Ponce's quest rages on, and perhaps this is the fountain he was pointing to. The perpetually flowing quest to the horizon. The next. We turn to look where he was pointing, and then suddenly we are gone. Next.
That is depressing because I don't want my one blip of time on Earth to be related to Ponce de Leon's, desire to colonize more land.
I think what the author's saying, it's like, don't focus on what you can find next, 'cause then you'll miss what's right in front of you.
That's true.
He didn't talk enough about Ponce de Leon being a terrible person, but
what can you do?
That was just one article.
What you can do is focus on how many cookies you're going to eat, how you're going to tell the people that you love them, and being a little kinder to yourself every day.
Beautiful. And don't sweat the small stuff. Apparently that's what gets you.
Because that's all that I do, and I'm still working on that one.
This generation of people with anxiety, we're going to have issues, but we will get through them together because we're all in therapy. So
yes.
We're Gucci.
If you're not in therapy, think about it.
All right. Well, that's all I got. So Ponce de Leon, maybe never even looking for the fountain of youth after all. I guess
maybe it was Tinky-Winky looking for the fountain of youth, and we called him gay from the moment he stepped foot on this frigging continent. And so then he was like, you know what? I found the fountain of youth, and I'm not sharing it with any of y'all.
Yeah, and it all comes full circle, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do here on Two Girls, One Crossword. If you would like to talk to us, please find us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls. And until then, I guess enjoy Teletubbies and sulfur water. I don't know. Do whatever, or don't. Do whatever you want with your life. I'm not in charge.
Teletubbies, sulfur waters, cookies. Don't forget the cookies, the red wines, and the cigarettes. Do what you gotta do.
All right. Well, goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Until next time.
See you next time.